Yes, hello everyone, Fáilte Ashkity Cúilín Media. Welcome back to another weekend review show. I'm delighted to be joined here by Liam White. Aaron Prendergast will be jumping on the show as well when he is ready to go. Unfortunately, Matthew Hurley will not be joining us, but we have plenty joining us in the comments down below. Big shout out to the likes of Ryan Gallagher, Peter Griffin, Jerry Gregan, getting involved in the discussion. If you are new here on the channel, please do get involved. Let us know what your highlights from the weekend were, what things you'd like us to discuss. Because, Liam, we have plenty to get through. We have hurling, we have boxing, we have LGFA, we have MMA, we have the lot. But yeah, what do you think about? What are you looking forward to getting into?
Yeah, I suppose first of all, it's great for the two of us to be back on after not being on last week as well. But I would say it was more. You're an MMA fan. I'd say that was more MMA at the weekend than it was boxing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there wasn't any hands thrown. There was more kind of grips and stuff like this.
I suppose, yeah, maybe wrestling to a degree, but yeah, no, it was a good weekend. Enjoyed the games, anyways. Obviously, was down in Waterford today for the Waterford Offaly match. I'd appreciate if we skipped that, but anyways, no, still great games over the weekend. Some big results, a lot of talking points. There's what's that meme of Antonio Conte? One normal day of Barclays, one normal day of GA Sunday. Yeah. But yeah, no, cracking weekend, and yeah, looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah, Peter says here, Liam Gordon, MMA ref. Now we have, Jerry says, sure, throw in the Super Bowl into discussion while you're at it. Yeah, that's obviously on tonight as well. We had plenty of action across. Yeah, obviously, plenty of sports action this weekend. Of course, you had the Six Nations kicking off. We had Pats playing against Bohemians in the Aviva Stadium. We had a mental game in the Prem between City and Liverpool today. There's a lot to look at. If you like sport, you were definitely spoiled this weekend. It isn't over yet. We will get this wrapped up before League Sunday starts at 9:30. We know that is where we'll jump to as well. So we won't keep you from watching the highlights as well. Jerry here saying as well, is there a prize to the referee who can dish out the most black cards? We'll have plenty of referee discussion on this episode. Don't be worried. But Liam, we're going to start off here with the obvious game. Cork 29 points, Tipperary 22 points in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. So, I mean, going into this game, the rematch of the All-Ireland final, everyone knew there was going to be fireworks. And to be honest, you could have seen it from a mile away that there was going to be a melee at some point, because the whole talk, the way Ben O'Connor was saying, about letting the game flow and don't be kind of picky on fouls and stuff like that. And then the whole talk in the media as well about not taking a step back and not taking a backward step. You knew that was going to be in both of the teams' heads. And the thing is that I actually do think it overshadowed what was a very good first half. But the reality is most of the discussion is going to be completely about the melee at halftime, or right at halftime. It went on for ages. Let's say it is. It's two of the best teams in Ireland laying down a marker to each other. Aaron has disappeared, but now you're back. You're back. Aaron, we're just about to discuss, of course, the brawl between Cork and Tip, because a lot of people in the comments have been talking about it. Liam, I'll throw it to you first, though. Thoughts on the game itself, and then, of course, the big incident.
Yeah, I thought the first half there was a lot of good hurling on display from both teams. Like, I don't think there was any sort of sitting back or anything like that from either team. I think both teams actually did want to win it. Now, do I think it was more important for Cork to win this game? Absolutely, 100%. After obviously what happened last July, do I think it demolishes the demons of last July? Absolutely not. It is a league game at the end of the day, and I feel like, even if they were to win, say, the first round in Thurles in April, it still won't fully feel like it until maybe they were to get them in an All-Ireland final or even All-Ireland semi-final and were to beat them then. But yeah, look, I truly enjoyed the game, to be honest. I think second half it slowed down a small bit, as you probably kind of anticipated, given the two red cards on the edge of half-time. But no, I thought there was some excellent hurling on display. I thought Dermot Healy was playing very well for Cork. I thought Darragh Fitzgibbon, he had a couple of wides, but I thought he was still absolutely fantastic. Owen Downey, was doing well as well. Aaron's
it's happened again. Jesus.
We're doing the awards at the end of the year. This is definitely more.
Yeah. No, this is a constant. I think. We do a whip round to get to get Aaron a new USB or something. I don't know what's going on.
Absolutely. But anyways, I thought Alan Connolly looked good last night as well. He got 4 points from play. He got a couple of frees as well. But yeah, I'm impressed with Willie Buckley as well, I have to say. I think he kind of reminds me like a mixture of the way Charlie Mitchell and Jake Morris kind of play. The way where they like scoop the ball up with their left hand and strikes it off their right hand side, kind of like this. I like the way that he plays. I'm a big fan of players that kind of play the game like that, and they're big and strong and everything like that. I have to say, Rhys Shelley is really making a name for himself. He's like Cúilín Kelleher for Brentford. He's making only his penalty saves are coming against Cork. They must be sick of the sight of him at this point. And like Dalton hit that, like he hit it straight at him, but he hit it with such power. And we know the power that Dalton gets in behind his shots as well. He's very strong as well. So you see him scoring from 100 yards out in the club championship in Cork. So no, but look, I think Dalton overall probably did struggle. I would say he probably wasn't brilliant last weekend against Galway. Probably struggled again yesterday, but I think he will still come good towards the remainder of the year. I think he does still have a lot of quality in him to turn it around from his perspective anyway. But yeah, I thought Tip still did well in patches. I thought Brian O'Mara still had a good game at fullback once again, and it looks like he's kind of making that position nearly his own at the moment. Like I watched him last weekend in the flesh against us, and like he was absolutely superb. And again, yesterday, I thought he played a good game. And yeah, I mean, it was approaching the same scoreline as the final last year, only it was 16-12 this time. And then Jesus came. Like I like it was hot and heavy anyway throughout the game. And then just the cameras cut back to the incident at hand. And then like you're thinking, right, there will be red cards here, or there might be cards dished out here. But then when I saw it was for Barrett and Ford, I was very confused. And I'm still confused, to be honest with you, because I think Barrett's one was for like third man in. But from even say like the angle that it was shown from the other side from the RT cameras, it didn't look like he really did much in there. And the Ford one, I'm still kind of flabbergasted, to be honest with you. But yeah, it kind of ruined the game a small bit. The two sides then came in for the second half, and it wasn't as fluid as kind of the first half was. But yeah, look, if it's an early teaser for what we're going to get in the summer, then I think we're going to have some cracking games, both in Thurles and potentially in a Munster final. But yeah, look, it was a big win for Cork in the end, and I'm sure we'll get on to Ben O'Connor's comments and in a moment after the game. But I think overall, he'd be delighted. 3 wins out of 3 over 3 very good sides as well. Obviously, with Limerick to play, you'd expect them to beat Offaly, and they'll have Kilkenny as well. So yeah, things are looking good for them.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. You knew coming into the game that there was probably going to be a melee. Given how last year's All-Ireland final went, given the hurt that's there for Cork and how eager they would be to lay down a marker, and then all of the talk in the press then was who's going to take a back step. So you knew Tipperary were going to meet them head on and that they weren't going to take a back step. And the minute that it kicked off, it was like everyone knew this was going to happen. So everyone was ready to run in the minute that it did. And that's why it went on for so long, because nobody wanted to have the last push landed on one of their players. So every time someone shoved, they were immediately met with a response. And it seems to be pretty common, especially in the current game, that these kind of pushing and shoving matches take place, especially when two of the big teams are going head to head. And the reality is Cork and Tip, not only did they meet in last year's final, not only are they right now definitely 2 of the top 3 teams in the country. You can make up your order of, where they sit, but they're both of them are definitely in there. They also have the factory line of under 20 stars coming into the senior team. And not only are they dominating now, they're probably going to be on top for the next few years, both of them. So they're going to be eyeball to eyeball. And that's why it's pretty exciting watching this rivalry develop right in front of our eyes. It's pretty fascinating. Aaron, what was your take on it? Obviously the brawl, everything like that. Well, the brawl definitely I think isn't fair. There wasn't any punches thrown, but a prolonged scuffle.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like there was definitely interesting kind of seeing it happen and everything else. Like I think it's like a given for a game like this. Cork Tipperary, after everything that happened in the summer, there was always going to be a bit of a brawl. Do you know what I mean? And there was always going to be a bit of a marker left. Like I'm not too sure why the referee blew it up. I feel like the referee kind of bottled it, to be honest. Like he was kind of just like, look, he was like, it was like he was kind of just looking at them all, and then he's like, all right, lads, just get away from me. Like, you know what I mean? I've had enough of yous. I've seen yous now. Do you know what I mean? Like, fair enough, picking out 2 players and giving a red. I can kind of understand that, because you probably can't really let something like that go unpunished. Do you know what I mean? When there is kind of, and I get like, yeah, he could have picked anyone out. He just had to pick 2 players. But I feel like in the championship, like, I don't know, like I understand that maybe a little bit in the league for ending because we were kind of robbed 5, 6, 7 minutes of a game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was a little strange, I felt, like with the referee doing that. But look, I like, you do understand that, and hopefully, like, it's not something that becomes a thing, because yeah, I don't know, like, if we started doing that in the championship, it just seems like a bit of a cop out, I think.
Yeah, well, we've a lot of comments flying in about this. Porter, who I believe is a tip man. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you're still watching, my good friend. He says we need to talk about Ben. I don't know if there's some meaning behind that. Someone say it. Ben O'Connor getting a bit mouthy, he says. So there's no question about it. Ben O'Connor, his introduction into the championship is definitely going to shake things up, because most managers are quite, tame in their post-match interviews. They always go for the cautious answer. Ben O'Connor, in all of his post-match interviews, he's straight to the point. He says exactly what's on his mind, and he will not stand for anything that he sees as stupid. And he's not afraid to call things out. And one thing I noticed, Aaron, is like Ben O'Connor, the way he's come in, he reminds me of how Jim McGuinness came in with Donegal, where anything that he perceived to be a little bit stupid, he's calling it out immediately. And like you said it there, Aaron, you backed it you backed it on Twitter, Aaron, that Cork are in good hands. Why do you think that?
Yeah, I think just because of how fired up he is, like how well spoken he is. Like, I think it probably maybe has been something missing from Cork's game, maybe a little bit, the dark arts a little bit, or yeah, that kind of physicality about them. It probably has been something that maybe has been missing a little bit in the last couple of years. For as good as they have been in terms of, their attacking players and the goals and everything else, it's probably just been that physicality that I've noticed so far with Cork, especially around midfield and even defence as well. Like, giving away so little in terms of attack or in terms of defence. Like, they were absolutely outstanding, the likes of Sean O'Donoghue and amongst others as well. So yeah, like I think they're like, he's just very well spoken, comes across as, like, even when you're listening to him in that interview, you could kind of tell, like, if I was a player, you'd absolutely go to war for him. Do you know what I mean? The way he's speaking and everything else. And yeah, I think, look, Cork, to be fair, are already, even without him, they were a brilliant team. You know what I mean? But maybe, like, this might just be potentially now the mentality kind of aspect. I never really understood the managerial change at the start, but I'm kind of looking at it now and thinking it's a fresh face. So the baggage isn't necessarily there of last season because he wasn't involved. And it could just be the difference come July.
And that's the other thing as well, Liam. He's unapologetic about it. When you hear him talking about the physicality, I'm not sure, did you see the Sports Joe quotes? But
yeah,
I mean, he's unapologetic about it.
He's very unapologetic, no, and he's what's he saying? It's a man's game. Let them play on. Let the boys at it. It's fairly strong quotes. I think one thing I found interesting that he said, what was it, that the referees are kind of ticking boxes or something like that in case they don't get a game for the remainder of the year. Very strong quotes. But look, it's nice to see a bit of something like this from a manager, not showing any fear, that they'll say what they feel and they're not worried about, if people are going to come at them or not. But look, do you know what it is? The game, in a way, while I think a lot of sports over the last number of years have sort of digressed to a degree. Obviously, Gaelic football made the big revival. I think soccer has kind of digressed over the last couple of years because it's all about possession and all that. I think hurling is one of the few sports over the years that has just evolved to a completely different level. But the one thing that is annoying, it does feel like there's a lot of freeze in games. And look, I know obviously a lot of that is down to the fact that lads nowadays are absolutely, like, they're huge, they're humongous, they're WWE wrestlers, they're pro MMA boxers, they're huge men, so if you get hit by them or if you feel contact from them, it's going to be a lot harder than, say, what you got hit by 20, 30 years ago. But at the same time, half the time it feels like it's nearly shooting practice for a free taker. Do you know what I mean? Some of the time. So I can kind of understand where he's coming from to a degree. A lot of the tackling, in a way, a lot of the time you're nearly afraid to make a tackle now in case, like, it is going to be a free because the referee's going to be pulling a lot more maybe. But Yeah, look, it's an interesting debate to be having, and I suppose as the season goes on, we'll see a lot more of this potentially. We'll probably see a lot more managers, even Johnny Kelly today, the Offaly manager, speaking to us afterwards, was kind of in agreement with him, to be honest with you. So I'm sure there's a lot more managers that are probably on his side with a lot of the quotes that he was saying as well. But yeah, it makes for an interesting season, and I can imagine for the media, he's box office. He's like Mourinho when he came to the Premier League. You know, I'd say that they're absolutely going to be loving him this season, to be honest.
Well, like we've all been in that position, the three of us going to interview someone at the sideline at the end of a game, and I was thinking it when he was on RTE at the end of the game that like he has this really steely gaze. Like I was thinking he'd scare the shit out of me if I had to interview him. If I was told ask him this question in the ear, if I was told ask him this question, I would be scared to ask him the question. He does have a presence. He has an intimidation factor about him. And there's no question about it. If he tells those Cork lads, go in there and don't let them mess with you. Like, you give as good as you get. You best believe they're going to do that. And the reality is I'm not really a man for hindsight analysis, like in terms of, oh, well, maybe this could be the ingredient that they didn't have. They were good enough to win the All-Ireland, especially in 2024. They were good enough. And if that shot by Robbie O'Flynn goes in past Eibhear Cúilín in extra time, in my opinion, they win that game. Right? They would have been 2 points up with a minute to go. So they were good enough to win it then. And the grain of rice just tipped it in Clare's favour that day. But the reality is we're here in 2026. So the team has to evolve and the team has to change. You have to talk about the here and now. I think he's the perfect man to be managing Cork right now because, as we said, he's unapologetic about it. He will be a very intimidating presence on the sideline for Cork, and it will be like that kind of almost like Ferguson, the way that Ferguson used to almost, use his presence to get certain key decisions and everything like that, because that definitely would have ramped up the pressure on Liam Gordon heading into the game. The comments about let the game flow and everything like that. But the one thing about it is, like, let's be honest, based off how he was talking during the week about the physicality being lacking in the game and how the game is getting sanitized and everything like that, and based off the rivalry between the two counties, losing last year's All-Ireland final, Cork did to Tip, and then the fact that both of them have this factory line of superstars coming up, Oisin O'Donoghue on one side, Micheál Mullins on the other side for Cork, the way that they both have this factory on, they're going to be here for years to come. This rivalry is only going to get more fierce. They're eyeball to eyeball now. They're realizing we're probably going to be seeing a lot of you over the next 2 years, whether it's Munster finals, All-Ireland finals, and Ben O'Connor and Liam Cahill are both going to be drilling it into their players. Do not take a step back in any game, regardless of what it is. So the melee was inevitable, but by God, this rivalry is something special. It's going to deliver big time for us over the next few years. I can't wait for the next clash. We're gonna say here, Garrod says if Davy Fitz had scored the Tony Kelly rebound in extra time, then it wouldn't have been a grain of rice. There's moments in the game, but I do believe personally that shot would have won Cork the All-Ireland if that had flown in. Peter saying Colin Parkinson, former Leash Baller, smaller GA podcast now on Patreon. He interviews managers after the game. Porter says Ben O'Connor will be a flop, capital flop. We'll see what happens. That's the rivalry between Cork and Tip there, if you want to see. On top of that, Porter always saying, and what about the booing of Darren McCarthy? I did notice that. There was the opinion. Do you know what that is? Because there's no question about it. He has always taken a long time over his frees. He has. But what sparked it was definitely the articles and the social media posts that were written about it. Was it All Irish Sport that did a social media piece about how long Darren McCarthy takes to take his frees? So then Cork fans are going into the ground knowing about how long he takes to take his frees. And then when he had one right in front of the goal that he could have tapped over in his sleep, and he does the whole 25-second routine, you knew that the booing was going to come once it started. I think that's an interesting one, but again, that's another spin on this rivalry, another element to it. Peter here with a question for you, Liam. He says, Liam, did you take hurling frees? Your take on a routine? Did you ever take the hurling frees, Liam?
I have. I junior B's and junior C's for my club for the last couple of years on different occasions. Yeah, look, I have a routine, and that's why I'm not bothered by McCarthy's. Look, obviously, coming from an Offaly perspective, watching it 2 years ago in the under-20 final, obviously everyone was there shouting, will you hurry up or something like that, but that's just more you're against them on the day and you don't want them scoring or whatever. But personally, I've never had an issue with it. As Liam Cahill said, once he puts it over the bar, I don't care. You know, like you may as well then look at TJ Reid. He takes long with his. Joe Canning at times was taking a lot of deep breath. Patrick Horgan tended to be a bit quicker, I felt, taking his freeze. Lee Chin takes a long time looking over. So everyone has their own technique, and for me, I mean, if it works for you, it works for you, and it's as simple as that. You know, it might be slow and it might be taking time, and look, to a degree, it might look ridiculous to some people, but it also works for him. Like, he's won an All-Ireland taking frees like that. He's won a Harty Cup doing that. He's won a under-20 All-Ireland doing that, a minor All-Ireland doing that, Munsters. You know, he's gotten to a county final with Toomey Vara. You know, it's working for him. So for me, once he keeps putting them over the bar, I'm not really bothered by it. Look, I have my own routine myself, whether they're successful or not. Sometimes they were, sometimes they weren't. But like once he's putting them over the bar, like Liam Cahill says, who actually cares, to be honest with you? Like, it's part of the game. And also, look, if it's going to rile up fans, then sure, do you know what? All the better, because sometimes the best players can actually perform better when they're getting booed or riled up or someone saying something about them that they wouldn't say to them in the street. But yeah, look, for me, no issue with it at all. Once he keeps putting them over the bar, no need to change it.
Yeah, I agree. I echo that sentiment. It does not bother me in the slightest. Jer here saying Séamus knows I'm no Tipperary fan. That is true. But booing Darren McCarthy when he was coming on was just weird. Yeah, that's strange. I mean, that's like Darren McCarthy. I don't know what exactly that's linked to. Is it linked to the red card last year in the Munster Championship? Is it the fact that he scored an unbelievable goal in the All-Ireland final last year and a little bit of bitterness? But who knows?
I think it's just fans being fans, really. Like, I remember they booed Cian Lynch, remember, a couple of years ago as well, when he came off the bench for Limerick. And look, I've been on the hill numerous times when Mayo players, Kerry players.
Kieran Donaghy used to get it all the time, I remember. Anytime Donaghy came in. It was just one person would start booing and it was just open season. I think Aaron's got the moon.
Aaron's going to get booed here now.
Aaron's getting booed, by the
way. Somebody put boo in the comments right now for
Gavin says great win for the Roscommon Hurlers over Armagh. Hopefully the double next week. Yeah, if they can pull that off, that would be absolutely massive. Peter says, yeah, if it works, don't change it. Peter, we got plenty of boos coming in. Aaron's Wi-Fi. We'll handle this. He's in the back room, but we'll see if it comes back. But yeah, that's how we recap on that. Your final take on it before we move on, Liam, because I think, as I was saying there, I think these are two of, I'd say, at least the top four, depending on how you spin things. But these are definitely two of the teams that you could realistically see Liam McCarthy being in their hands at the end of the summer. How do you see this Act 1 potentially between the two teams in 26?
Yeah, like I said, I think if it's a teaser for what we're going to get for the remainder of the year, because we know they're going to meet each other in the Munster Championship. They could meet each other in a Munster final, and they could easily meet each other in another All-Ireland final, or at minimum All-Ireland semi-finals. So look, I think it's a great teaser. I actually think it was here he is. I think it was a better teaser game this year between Cork and Tip than what Cork and Limerick was last year. I know there was the incident last year with Séamus Flanagan getting hitting your man the balls and everything like that. But other than that, it wasn't the best game last year between Cork and Limerick in the league in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, if we're being honest. Whereas this year, I thought the game was a lot better and it felt like there was a lot more heat to it to a degree. So yeah, if that's what they're going to serve up in the summer, then by God, Turles will be absolutely rocking in April. And I think if they get to the Munster final against each other, I think it's in Cork. I saw it the other day on Twitter. I can't quite remember, but wherever it is, by God, you could play it in a shed, and by God, it'll be entertaining. So I'm looking forward to seeing these two going at it again.
Well, what's different about this rivalry compared to their rivalry with Limerick last year was, not last year, God, but yeah, I mean, I suppose that league game with Limerick last year, they were seen as the top two, but what's different is that Limerick had been 4 in a row All-Ireland champions. They had been the kings and Cork had to really knock them off their perch in that All-Ireland semi-final in 2024. And then there was the expectation that the Empire would strike back, and it was the rivalry between the two of them. And Tipperary came from nowhere to win. If we're talking about where Tipperary were at the end of 2024, you would have been brave at the beginning of 2025 to say that they were going to win the All-Ireland from the get-go. And absolute credit to them. They smashed it. And now they're here. So the spin on it, like what this league game was this year compared to what this same fixture was last year, it's night and day. Tipperary have, inserted themselves as All-Ireland champions and now the top dogs. But I still think, because their team, I know that they still have the likes of Noel McGrath, John McGrath and everything like that, but their team is still, apart from that, so young. Their team is like they're absolutely primed and ready to go and win a bunch of silverware. And Cork are probably going to be their most consistent rival, in my opinion, over the next few years to win that. I think when you look at a lot of teams around them, I think even Limerick are going to enter a little period of transition over the next couple of years. I think Clare are probably going to enter a period of transition. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how they handle it. And by the way, when I'm saying entering a period of transition, you can still win All-Irelands in a period of transition. We've seen Kilkenny do it. We've seen Dublin do it in the football. We've seen Kerry do it most famously in 2014 when they won, as they were saying they were in their rebuild. Like, it can happen, but I think for the long haul, these two are going to be going nose to nose for the next few years. Aaron, what's your recap on this game before we move on?
Yeah, overall, I think it was comfortable enough really for Cork from start to finish. Maybe in the first half, both teams are kind of trading back and forth. But I feel like there was a spell, I think, around the 12th or 13th, 14th minute where they scored 6 on the bounce. And they kind of just really pulled away from Tipperary after that. The decision as well to put Darragh Fitzgibbon in a half forward, that was a master stroke, I think, by Ben O'Connor. Scored 7 points in total, was man of the match, was outstanding. And yeah, for Tipperary, I don't think, look, they'd be disappointed to lose the game, but I was listening to Liam Cahill's post-match interview, and he was upbeat, he was chatty, he was happy, he was smiley. I don't think it's the end of the world in any way for Tipperary to lose this game. And even in the second half of both teams, the first half was blood and thunder, and it was back and forth, and there was heavy challenges. And then it was almost in the second half, both teams were okay, we're happy to just play the game now at a much smaller pace, not give too much away. And I think there was elements of that really, I think, from both teams. And look, Tipperary obviously didn't start, the McGraths and everything else, still have other lads to come back in. So
no Ronan Marr.
No Ronan Marr as well. So it's not the end of the world, I think, for Tipperary to lose this game.
Yeah, I think Cork wanted to win this game more. I think it meant more to them to win it, especially after last year's All-Ireland final, and they have. But these teams are going to meet again, and by God, it's going to be a cracker. Moving on now to Division 1A's round 3 clash today between Limerick and Kilkenny. It finished Limerick 126, Kilkenny 216 at the Gaelic grounds. The Treaty bouncing back after their setback against Waterford last week. And interestingly, a tweet that I seen at the end of the game, it's Limerick's first win since they beat Cork in the Munster Championship, if we're talking a national competition. It's their first win since they beat Cork in May of last year. So, Aaron, I'll come to you first. This is under the radar as a massive win for Limerick, just to get back on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they had a loss today as well, I think it would have been the first time they've lost 5 games in a row in league and championship in 40 years or something like that, or something of that nature. Absolutely mental, yeah. And even Limerick losing 5 games in a row, before this 5-game spell, if they had a loss today, even losing 5 games in general, you would have been going back the last 3, 4, or 5 years to even find 5 games that they lost. But yeah, big win for Limerick. They had to bounce back, I think, after really damning defeat against Waterford, where even John Cúilín said they didn't really show much fight and spirit and everything else. They definitely showed that today. And the big guns were out as well, Peter Casey was brilliant, 5 points. Aaron Gillane as well, with a kind of trademark Aaron Gillane goal. Adam English as well, the pass inside as well. It's Limerick, sometimes they never really go for goals. It's kind of frustrating watching them at times. They're so point heavy. And when Gillane got it, it was nearly he nearly had to think about it a little bit, because it nearly looked like he was going to put it over the bar. And then he said, actually, do you know what? F all that, F the system. I'm putting this in the back of the net. And even like when he nearly looked annoyed after he scored the goal, it was really weird. He nearly looked frustrated or something. He was almost like, I want to do that more often or something. But yeah, it was a lovely finish. And yeah, comfortable enough for Limerick. Maybe the only thing to be disappointed about is the penalty miss at the end, because they've had a fair amount of bad luck with penalties recently. But look, they won the game, so that's all that matters. Like,
Liam, how do you see it?
Yeah, look, I didn't see the whole game because I was on the way back from Waterford. But from bits that I did see the goal, and I have to say, I mean, if any player in Limerick is going to do that, it is Aaron Gillan. We saw that, like we've seen it over the years. We saw it evidenced by even the goal he got against Cork last year. The way he just spun Niall O'Leary and just ran in and struck it into the back of the net so beautifully. Like it was an absolute rocket. Like Jesus, I mean, firing in it from that angle is absolutely outrageous. But yeah, look, from what I've from kind of what I've read and what I've heard online, like Limerick, I suppose I wouldn't say comfortable, but they were definitely the stronger side over the course of the 70 minutes. And yeah, like Aaron said, look, I know you can read, sometimes we maybe can read too much into it. Okay, it's 5 losses in a row. It is still Limerick, but at the same time, sometimes losing becomes a habit, winning becomes a habit, and they desperately needed a big win, and especially over, say, a contender, because Kilkenny, as much as I don't think they're as good as they used to be, and they have obviously lost, big players in their panel at the moment and don't have other players playing at the moment, they're still Kilkenny at the end of the day, and they're still going to be in the top 5 for the All-Ireland probably at the end of the year, realistically. So, like, they needed some kind of big performance, needed some kind of big win, and they needed some players to get back into some kind of key form as well. Like, I thought, from what I've read online, William O'Donoghue had a good game. Peter Casey, I've seen some of the scores that he got. It's good to see him back in good form as well. He's had his injury issues over the last couple of years, so it's good to see him back in form. Aaron Gillan, I think he finished with 1-2, did he, from play or something like that? Adam English, for me, is just going to be, he's going to be the dominant force in Limerick hurling for the next 10, 11, 12 years. Like, it was amazing even watching UL the other night. Like, UL played without both Colin O'Neill and Adam English and still won. And I'm there thinking, Jesus, if they had those two, and especially Adam English, like, I've watched nearly all of UL's games. I think the only one I didn't watch was our first game against Maynooth, but every game I've watched, like, he's so scintillating in the middle, the way he strikes the ball, finds the forwards, even just striking the ball over the bar. He has a beautiful strike of the ball as well. And yeah, for me, he's going to be Limerick's best hurler over the next number of years. But look, great win for Limerick. No point saying otherwise. Aidan O'Connor as well, getting 10 points, 3 from play, which is positive as well. Good for him to get a bit of confidence in the team as well. I was very impressed with him the 1 or 2 times I saw him down in Limerick last year in the league, and I think he could be in for a big season as well. So yeah, very positive for Limerick. From a Kilkenny perspective, I will say it feels like it's kind of Owen Cody and Mossy Keown, and after that, it doesn't feel like they have as much in the forward line as they maybe would like at the moment. Like, they do have good players in there. Clifford's a good player. Kennellan's a good player. Like, they are actually good players. Garrod Dunn's not a bad player either. But it just feels like Owen Cody is nearly doing everything by himself to a degree. This maybe sounds a bit harsh, but he's nearly, like, even hearing it earlier, listening to the commentary on KCLR, it kind of sounded like he was nearly trying to do too much, but in, like, a good way, and then you have Mossy Keys as well, who can pop up with big scores as well. Like, if Kilkenny had won the All-Ireland last year, Mossy Keys could have been hurler of the year. He was absolutely sensational last year, and particularly he didn't deserve to be on the losing side in the All-Ireland semi-final. But yeah, look, Kilkenny, it's not the end of the world. It's given them another game time today, and I felt like they kind of needed to show something today, because they weren't exactly magnificent against Offaly the opening day. Like, they had 9 points after 35 minutes the last day. They normally have that after 15 minutes against any opposition. So look, I think they can still take positives from it. I wouldn't say they're in danger of relegation or anything like that. I don't think that's a worry for them, but I think it's a Waterford they have coming up next. Like, that's going to be a huge, huge game for them now, and especially with Waterford winning their last 2 games. Yeah, they what's his name? Derek Lynch is going to need to really get a couple of results on the board. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I do think it's a type of thing that you can't wrap your brain around Kilkenny being relegated. But if they don't pick up a win, like, you'd look at that Waterford game and go, if Waterford turn them over, all of a sudden the threat of relegation becomes very, very real because of who they have left to play. Like, they still have to play Cork. They still have to play, they still have to play Tip. There's a lot of games there that are going to be very, very difficult for Kilkenny going down the home stretch. So they need to get their points, and they need to get their points soon. The thing is, for Derek Ling, is, again, it's always with Kilkenny, it's the question about the All-Ireland. And very, very quietly, it's now 11 calendar years since they've won one. They haven't won one since 2015. And you would have never thought in 2015 that it would take that long to get their hands on the Liam McCarthy Cup again. It's not been for a lack of trying. I thought they were brilliant, especially in the 2022 final, but Limerick were just too good that year and turned them over. But since then, they have slightly regressed, I would say, each year. They're not as good as that team that Brian Cody had in his final year. They're not as good as that team that Derek Ling had in his first year. Like, what is it, in your opinion, Aaron, if you agree, what is it, in your opinion, that has changed, or what is, like, the things that they're lacking that they had back then?
Yeah, they just haven't really been it's weird. Like they're under 20s and minors and stuff. Like they've had a few teams there that have gotten to All-Ireland finals and everything else, but there just doesn't really seem to be a lot of many players coming into the team. Like you had Billy Drennan, who was going to be the next kind of big star. He kind of came in. I'm not too sure maybe he might be injured at the moment. I don't know, but you know, you've had players who've kind of come in and out of the side in recent years. Like David Blanchfield was a big star, dropped out of the team. Now he's back in the side. Haven't seen him at the start of this league, but yeah, there's been a lot of players who've kind of dropped in and out at different stages for Kilkenny, and they just don't really seem to have the same firepower players coming in, and they are very reliant on the same type of core players. Do you know what I mean? They're reliant on Owen Cody, they're reliant on TJ to come back in. Like you have other good players like Martin Keown and John Donnelly who've stood up in recent seasons, but yeah, they haven't really progressed. You felt like they've kind of just stayed still really over the last couple of years. And there hasn't really been, you know, even defensively as well. Like it's been the same kind of players and Hugh Lawler and everything else, and a few other lads, Mikey Butler, who've been there kind of consistently for the last couple of years. So it feels like there's not as much coming through, and then as well, the rest of Munster has exploded. Do you know what I mean? Like Limerick have been as good as they've been. Cork have like some amount of depth. You can only feel two teams in Cork that are that good. Do you know what I mean? Like they've so much kind of depth. Tipperary are the same. And even Clare to a certain extent. So, yeah, I think it's just a combination of things, I think.
Peter here giving a great point. He said the Cody culture gone sums it up for me. And Brian Cody would have held him to a certain standard. He also says conveyor belt is stalling. There's a lot here. Jer here saying who are the two most likely teams to go down. For me, the way I think Offaly, I do think Offaly will go. But along with Offaly, I think it's whoever loses the Waterford Kilkenny game. For me, I think we'll go. Right now I'd be tipping Kilkenny, which is wild. Like I never thought that I would be saying that, but I pointed out the 2022 All-Ireland final, and since that 2022 All-Ireland final, Limerick have added in Adam English, Aidan O'Connor, you know, like multiple different players that have come in and refreshed the team. Have Kilkenny added anyone on that level?
I wouldn't say no.
Like it's still Hugh Lawler.
Jordan Malloy is a good player, but yeah, there hasn't been too many.
Jordan Malloy, yeah.
Jordan Malloy is very good. Cian Kenny, was Cian Kenny in the team that year? He was.
Cian Kenny, I don't know. I don't think he was there in 22. But in fairness, like he's a good player as well, and he will be there for the next couple of years. I think he's good enough, to be fair to him, to stay up in the Kilkenny team. But it's just a strength in depth. You know, this could sound stupid. I feel like as well, maybe because if we're being honest, like the last number of years, they've sort of been guaranteed to be in an All-Ireland semi-final, you know, by winning Leinster the last number of years. And I don't mean like that in even a disrespectful way to Leinster, but like they've not had the best competition over the last couple of years compared to Munster. It's been 1 year, like it's Galway doing fierce well. The next year is maybe Dublin having a great year. The next year is maybe Wexford having a great year. Do you know? It's never like all four teams in the one. I'd say the last time it was like that was maybe 2019 when they didn't win it. When Dublin were having, like, I know you went out to Laois, but like you still had a very good Leinster Championship campaign. Wexford, arguably for me, should have been in the All-Ireland final that year. I think it should have nearly been a Limerick or Kilkenny Wexford All-Ireland final in 2019. And Galway, they were All-Ireland final this year before, won the All-Ireland in 2017. The last couple of years, they've not really had the best competition. So maybe that hasn't helped to, I could be reading into that way too much, but I feel like that maybe hasn't helped them possibly either. But yeah, like Aaron said there, even with the minor teams and the under 20 teams that had come through, they haven't had a name that stands out to you. Like Tip have had Darren McCarthy coming through. Like you said, Limerick have had Adam English coming through. Cork have had the likes of, Diarmuid Healy, Micheál Mullins, these types of young players that are all coming through. Even Clare, even the Diarmuid Stritch who's playing for UL at the moment, coming through, really good player. They had Adam Hogan. They all have these players coming through. Dublin have a couple as well in Diarmuid O'Dooling. I still think Brendan Kenny will come good over the next couple of years. These types of players, Purcell. So it's probably something that Kilkenny are going to have to look into getting, more big names out there maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, I do agree. I think definitely times are tough for the Cats, but as you say, you never ever write them off. But I think it's threatening, like genuinely, the 2020s is rapidly threatening to be a decade where Kilkenny don't win an All Ireland, and like you would have got good odds on that in 2015. So we'll move on. Shane here saying Kerry's team's Munster success under the new rules continues with CBS, the Green, Tralee winning Curran Ivory. Big shout there. Porter says, hope Offaly keep getting better. That 90s team played a lovely brand of hurling. They certainly did. But don't get Liam started on that, or else we'll get into delusion time very, very quickly. But anyway, we will move on. And unfortunately, Liam, sorry, I don't know what this game is next. It does bring you back down to earth. Waterford 119, Wexford. Sorry, Offaly 16 points in Walsh Park. Waterford make it back-to-back wins. And given how poor their league campaign started, the way that they've responded has been good. And in Ruben Halloran, they found a new gem.
Yeah, have to admit, he was very good today. I think the only score he got from play was the goal, but he was a threat throughout the game, and he was the key figure that Waterford were trying to, I suppose, get the ball to the entire time. And he took his goal really well as well, and he was good on the frees today, to be fair to him. But yeah, not just him. It was other lads that stepped up today as well. Irla Daly, who I was chatting to after the game. I mean, some of the catches that he made at centre back in the second half, in particular, from especially our pokeouts, like absolutely sensational, to be honest with you. I thought Jamie Barron in spells was really good, looking sort of somewhat back to his best as well. Shane Bennett was good in periods as well. Stephen Bennett got one absolutely outstanding point at the start of the second half when he was brought on. So look, there were some good performances. Billy Nolan pulled off one good save from Brian Dignan as well in the second half. So yeah, look, for me, Waterford, they weren't excellent today. Like, there's no point saying they were world beaters or anything like that, but they got the job done, and that's all you can really ask for them in these types of games, to be honest with you. And yet, look, they're still missing a lot of players as well. Mark Fitzgerald wasn't there. Patrick Fitzgerald, I think I heard today he could be out for a while, potentially with an injury. I don't know how true that is, but potentially he could be out for a while. Obviously, Stephen Bennett didn't start the game. You've Desi Hutchinson not there. You have a lot of lads that weren't there, and they're still, getting 2 wins out of 3 games, which is very impressive. So yeah, look, I'm sure Peter Cúilín will take the points tonight and move on, but I'd say he'll probably want a better performance against Kilkenny in 2 weeks' time. There's no doubt about that. I think that game's in Nolan Park as well, isn't it? So he'll definitely be getting his players up for that one. From our perspective, yeah, look, was Dignan on the fourth. Oh, half forward line. Sorry, I was like, wait, what? Anyways, it was a stop-start game. Yeah, there was a lot of frees given in the game. I'd say a lot of throwing in the game, to be honest with you. And it's probably something we need to really stamp out of the game, is the amount of throws that was in the game. But that's a story for another day. No, Dignan was playing in full forward today. Look, he got one good score. Probably should have had a goal maybe in the second half as well. I would say probably our best performance, Ben Keneally at fullback on Michael Kiley. It was the right decision to put him at fullback. You need someone big and strong and experienced on someone as tall as Michael Kiley. And I thought Keneally was absolutely exceptional. Brecken Cavan at centre back, he's getting better every game, and I thought he was exceptional as well. Ross Ravenhill, unfortunately, I think he broke a tooth on the edge of half time after a tackle on him. Now, when I saw him afterwards, it didn't look like he had a broken tooth, but I don't know. I wasn't investigating or anything. I'm not a dentist, so don't take my word on that. But he was a big loss, I'll be honest with you, because he'd have been playing at wing forward the last 2 games, and like, God bless Ross, he's not a forward. He is very much a backsman, and I thought he was actually very good today in the backs. He was strong. He was going in for hard tackles. He's not afraid of contact. So he was a bit of a loss in the second half. Adam Screeney, to be fair to him, probably could have had a goal. He had one shot that just blazed over the bar, but again, he was the threat for us absolutely in that game. Got 10 points, 2 from play, won a couple of frees as well. Probably was entitled to a few more frees as well, but again, and as well, considering the amount of games he's playing at the moment, both for us and for UL, and he has a Fitzgibbon final on Friday evening as well. He's playing absolutely fantastic at the moment, and I'm delighted to see it from his perspective. Cottle King in the middle was good. Thought Daniel Burke played well as well. Had a late fitness test before the game, but he came through and he looked good. Turgeinen in phases did well as well. Ben Miller, I think, will come good as well at cornerback. You know, I think he still needs a bit of learning, but he's still, you know, very young. But I think he will come good there. But yeah, look over. Oh, Aaron's gone. Aaron's going off the train with Offaly.
He's getting off at this stop for a bit.
But yeah, look, overall, look, it's the squad depth. If we're being honest, look, Killian Sampson's out. Charlie Mitchell is a massive miss, and look, he won't be playing for a while, unfortunately, which is devastating for his perspective. Kieran Burke is still out. David Nally was back today, which is good. Rory Kelly is back as well. He wasn't in the squad today, but he is still thereabouts. But yeah, look, I think we're going on the right track, and I think if we did have our full squad, it could have been a different game. It possibly could have been, but look, relegation is looking very likely now, which we kind of probably expected at the start of the season. Look, we've Galway next, which is going to be tough in Burn. Then it's Limerick, moving on, and then it's Cork on the final day. Yeah. But look, I'm still going to back these lads. I still have a lot of faith in a lot of these lads, and I think a lot of them will still come good. But look, they gave it their all, and I can't ask much more of that. And at the end of the day, the most important game is the Dublin game at the start of the championship in April. That is still the most important game for us, and we'll be targeting that. But look, they gave it their all. Waterford, job done. Move on to the next one. But yeah, look, tough day at the office.
William Phelan here says a good start to the league for Waterford, considering we played 6 matches in 5 weeks. When you consider the Munster League, the Ballygunner lads are back training and will be ready for Kilkenny, and it's a factor like that would have me tipping Waterford to shade that game, and then I think it's either Kilkenny or Galway for the drop, along with Offaly. In my opinion, Galway are so inconsistent. We'll come to them. We won't come to them because obviously they weren't playing this weekend. We're going to move on to Division 1B, and because these 3 games were relatively one-sided, we are going to put them all together. Now, obviously, the caveat is the Wexford-Carlow game finished with a one-sided score, but throughout the game, Carlow did have spells where they were on top. But we'll put them together with Wexford 228, Carlow 121 in Wexford Park. Kildare beating Antrim by 321 to 20 points in St. Conleth's Park. In Clare beating down by 335 to 15 points in Páirc Keysog. 3 big wins there for Wexford, for Kildare and for Clare respectively. Liam, what's your take on them?
Yeah, the Clare one is just I don't really know what to think of it, because like Clare put out a fairly strong team, which they're entitled to do. It's their league campaign at the end of the day. But yeah, it's not really a game that's going to benefit them going into the Munster Championship, really, is it? You know, because they're not going to be playing a team, you know, like Down in the Championship. But look, it's still good for Down to get a game like that against Clare, you know, and get the experience of playing down in Cusack Park as well. But yeah, look, from a Clare perspective, sort of domination from start to finish, to be honest with you. And I think if you're looking at promotion back to Division 1A, I think Clare are just definitely going to do it, aren't they, to be honest with you? I think once they got the win against Dublin, I mean, I think they would have gotten it anyway, but I think once they got the win on the open day against Dublin, I think it was signed, sealed and delivered, to be honest with you. Wexford, yeah, Carlow, I'm telling you lads, Carlow, when they want to, by God, they're kind of weird. 1 minute they're losing to Kildare at home and they're drawing with Laois. The next minute they're beating Waterford and drawing with Kilkenny. Do you know, they are just that county, but I love it.
I'm always nervous playing them. Like, as a Dublin fan, I'm always nervous playing them because I know that I'm aware that we're not quite Kilkenny Galway, but like we're that next scalp if you're Carlow. We're that next one up. So I'm always nervous facing them. Peter here saying Carlow rising, lads. Aaron, I just have to put you here. Marshall here saying my favourite is Aaron. So you've got a lot of confidence.
First person to say that in my life. Thank
you. Liam Jer here disagreeing with you. Says Clare did not have a strong team out. Only 4 of the starting team had played championship.
Mark Rogers, Peter Duggan, Diarmuid Stritch, Fitzgerald, Lohan, it's still a very strong team.
It's a good team. It's not their strongest team, but it's a very good team.
I think
there's a compliment in that, Jared. It's not. It's
John Conlon.
John Conlon was playing. Yeah.
No, like, and it's not saying, I'm not even trying to say that they had their strongest team out, but I mean, I'd still kill for some of those players. You know, it's still
when you have that squad depth, it's similar to Cork. Like if you put out the B team still beats most counties in Ireland. Like the amount of squad depth that they have, and Clare have a lot of talent there. Like Dermot Stritchev, especially at under 20 level, he looked really, really good,
and he's still very good.
Yeah. Aaron, what's your take on the 3 games in Division 1B?
Yeah, I suppose the big one really is Kildare beating Antrim. Like that's the big surprise. Well, maybe not a big surprise necessarily, like a huge surprise, but it's still like the margin of victory, like 10 points. Like that's very, very damning. I think from an Antrim and a Davy Fitz perspective, and you kind of wonder where they go. Really, I think after this, in terms of where they go next. You're kind of nearly waiting to see what the blowout will be, like the Davy Fitz story and everything else. But yeah, huge for Kildare. Like I saw them close up against Dublin last week, and I would have never seen it coming. Like I felt like they were very flat, they were very poor. They only scored, I think, 2 or 3 points from play in the entirety of the game. But I think maybe in hindsight now, it's probably pretty clear that they were holding themselves back in reserve for this, and be very curious to kind of see the highlights back when they do come around. But yeah, very, very good results. Wexford Carlow as well, like fair play to Carlow, they gave that a very, very good go, and they pushed Wexford to the pin of their collar really, and although Wexford pulled away towards the end of the game, Carlow showed they can compete, and they can compete with these teams, and I think that's good to see. And then like Down beating Clare or Clare beating Down. Yeah, I think we all very much expected that, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean Clare winning, we did anticipate it, but it's a big scoreline to lose by. Look, for Down, when you're going in against the champions of 2024, it's a free crack. Like just go in there, have a go, see what you can learn. You're playing against one of the best teams in the country, and they're definitely a county on the rise. So it's one of those games where you just take your learnings from it and move on. A lot of counties like Liam, your own county, Offaly, have done that, like gone up against it, taken a beating, but learnt and gotten a lot better along the way, especially when that factory line of talent comes through, which Down also have.
Yeah.
So there's no question about it. It's been a very, very interesting Division 1B campaign so far. We had a really, really interesting comment up here. I just want to find it from Ryan B. He said, is Division 1B still all about Clare and Dublin, even though Wexford are 3 out of 3 and all pundits picked Carlow all week? The reality is that they haven't been convincing, but they've won 3 out of 3. And Leachin coming back in, he still looks sharp as ever. Like going into the Leinster Championship, there's no reason why Wexford can't be in one of those 3 places to get out of the group again. It's just a question of to me, I don't see Wexford being much different from what they've been in previous years. I don't, and it's that kind of thing of if you do what you always do, you get what you always got. I could see Wexford having 1 of 2 years. The way they're looking right now, I could see them having 1 of 2 years. They qualify in 3rd place out of the Leinster Championship and then don't get to the semi-finals, or they get to the Leinster final. I could see them winning the Leinster final if they get there, but I couldn't see them getting to an All-Ireland final. And I think how good they were in 2019, they were amazing in 2019. And they felt agonizingly close and short there. And I just think the players that they had that year that they don't have now, that were absolutely fantastic players like Matthew O'Hanlon and stuff, to be missing players of that caliber, that's gotta hurt. And I don't think they've been able to replace those lads. Like we had it with Dublin for ages, where we got to a semi-final in 2013. We had to take a long time to rebuild that side, a long time. And now we're in a position where I feel like we're building, but like we got to the semi-final last year. It was a pretty chastening day. So it got shown to us that there's a long way to go for us too. Peter saying, I'd back the Dubs, and Clare, Antrim are defo gone. Ryan says, are Carlow playing the Dubs next? Carlow will hammer them. Sorry. I'm messing. Jer says Carlo play Antrim next, and that's where Ryan coming in saying Carlo will hammer them. And that, my friends, is a grade A example of being taken out of context. So Jer here saying, in fairness, 2 of Wexford's wins are narrow wins against Antrim and Down. The reality is, in my opinion, Wexford still have to play the best team in the division, which is Clare. It hurts me to say that as a Dublin fan, but Clare are the best team in the division, no question. So it's going to be interesting to see how they get on in that game. And I think that will give us a much better understanding of where they are at this year. But we're going to move on now to Division 2. So Division 2's games in round 3, we had, of course, Kerry beating London by 5-21 to 121. Derry beating Mayo by 225 to 20 points. And Westmeath beating Meath by 25 points to a goal and 19. Aaron, I'll come to you first. Very, very interesting games. Big wins for Westmeath, Derry, and Kerry again looking impressive. 5 goals this time they're racking up. Oh. Do you want to jump in, Liam?
I think.
Yeah, Liam, you better take the wheel.
Okay. I thought it was processing for him. Yeah, look, for Westmeath, very narrow win against Meath. I expected Westmeath to probably look. They've lost a lot of players to retirement during the winter, and a lot of really good experienced players. There's no question about that. But I still probably thought they would be. Look, context is a great thing because look, I'm still someone who needs to watch a game to truly say, right, how did this game go, or is the scoreline kind of fair? But yeah, judging by this on Scorebio, it looked like Meath were always kind of in the game, but just couldn't quite get close enough to Westmeath. And look, in fairness to Westmeath, look, you got to give them credit. There were still some players that stood out today. Owen Keys got 5 points from corner forward. Killian Doyle, as we've come to expect over the last couple of years, 10 points from full forward, 7 from free, 3 from play. Eamon Cúilín, who got the point last weekend to level the game against Kerry, 2 points as well. Peter Clark, who got 2 goals for DCU the other night in the Fitzgibbon featuring as well. David Williams, who I'm a big fan of as well, got 4 points from midfield. So I think Kevin O'Brien is building slowly with this Westmeath team. It is a rebuild, if we're being honest with you, but I'd say he'll just be happy, get the 2 points. You have 3 points after 2 games. And I believe it's Laois they have next, which will be a real test for the two of them. And I suppose you move on from there. And for Kerry, yeah, look, I'll give credit to Kerry. I think I can't remember off the top of my head if I predicted them to go down or not, because I was just worried that Kerry were going to go on a downward spiral. And especially after last year getting relegated from the Joe McDonagh, I was worried for them to a degree. They were losing to Donegal last year as well, which wasn't a great look for them. But you got to give them credit. I mean, that's a big win over London, big win over London. And yeah, to put up 5 goals again is very, very impressive. You know, I think they have 12 goals now in 3 games, 5 against Derry, 5 against London, 2 against Westmeath. So they know where the back of the net is. There's no question about that. Yeah, look, fair play to them. They're moving very nicely at the moment. They're definitely in the hunt for promotion back to Division 1B. And yeah, it makes the division so much better.
It certainly does. Aaron, could I get your take on those 3 Division 2 games? Sorry, just to remind you, it was, of course, the 3 Division 2 games. It was big wins for Kerry, big win for Westmeath, and big win for Derry over Mayo as well.
Yeah, look, I think like in terms of the results, I don't think they were that surprising. Maybe the margin of victories a little bit. Like a big win for Kerry against London. Like I think a lot of us were expecting London to be quite strong in Division 2. I know Matthew predicted them to get promoted. I predicted them, I think, to finish 3rd. So yeah, very, very impressive from a Kerry perspective. And yeah, some other good big wins in there for the likes of Derry as well. And yeah, I suppose for Westmeath, Meath maybe a little bit closer than people had anticipated. Like fair play to Meath, they gave a good account of themselves. But I think it was important for Westmeath really to get a win because they have been struggling of late. So to get over the line, I think was big. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to move on now to Division 3. So round 3 took place in the National Hurling League's Division 3. And the 2 games that took place today, and then we're going to talk about the one which took place on the Saturday. Wicklow beating Tyrone 3-14 to 15 points. Jack Phelan top scored for the Garden County with 1-4. Sean E. Germain with 1-2, and Andy Kavanagh also hit the back of the net in their victory. Louth beat Fermanagh by 3-20 to 2 goals and 19 points. Andy Cosgrove with 2-2 and Kieran McKelvey with 1-4 for Fermanagh, while Sean Corrigan deserves a shout on the Fermanagh side, hitting 1-6. Anthony Cosgrove and McKelvey, got the scores for Louth. And then looking at the game in Division 3, which took place on the Saturday, we have, of course, Roscommon beating Armagh by 2 goals and 17 points to 12 points. They made it 2 out of 2. As, of course, Gavin touched on, can they make it 2 out of 2 next weekend with the football? Only time will tell. Limo, Coyle and Keane Murray gold for the 14-man Rossies. Connor Morris hit 4 points and Conor Mulroy with 3 points thrived as well for the Rossies. Big wins there, lads.
Yeah, great wins. I think Division 3 is very interesting at the moment. You've Donegal up there, who obviously weren't playing this weekend with 100% record. Wicklow are moving nicely as well, especially after the defeat that they had earlier on in the campaign as well. Geez, Louth and Fermanagh sounded like an absolutely cracking game, to be honest with you. 320 to 219. And it's good as well, because if you can remember, that was the same game last year that had the controversy over, wasn't it? The league final was played at a club ground and there was like no officials or there was no lines drawn. It was one of those, I can't remember off the top of my head. So it's good to see these two counties having another crack at each other and playing out an absolutely savage game once again. Kieran McKelvey, like you mentioned, scoring 1-4 at full forward, and Andrew Cosgrove scoring 2-2 as well. So big performances from them. Division 3, it's looking very interesting at the moment. Roscommon, to be fair to them, like for years they were a proud hurling county as well. And they're probably still a very proud hurling county, to be fair to them. Had a big win last year, and you're hoping that it drives on their hurling scene for the next couple of years as well. For Fermanagh and Armagh, I mean, it's not looking good for them at the moment, to be honest with you. They could be looking certain for the drop at the moment. But I think Division 3 is going to go right down to the wire. I would still probably back Donegal. I still think they're a very strong team, doing a lot of great work there at the moment. But Wicklow and Roscommon will push them close. And I mean, don't write off Louth either. They're still in this hunt as well, and they'll take great confidence from getting a win away from home as well.
Absolutely. So, Aaron, I'm going to come to you for Division 4. So, round 3 of Division 4. Obviously, it started off on the Sunday. Leitrim got their first win of the campaign, beating Warwickshire, beating Warwickshire by 228 to 2 goals and 11 points. But the main highlight was from the Saturday's games. It was Sligo and Longford maintaining their 100% record. For Sligo, the O'Kelly Lynches scored 313 between them. Robert O'Kelly Lynch with 111 and Jared O'Kelly Lynch with 2 goals and 2 points. Eddie O'Donoghue also hit the back of the net for Sligo. And they beat Lancashire by 421 to 112. Very impressive win. Longford also got another win. Their 100% record is still intact. As I said, they beat Monaghan by 123 to 12 points. Joe Rabbit with 1-3. Martin Farrell with 10 points. Reuben Murray with 8 points as well. It's a big win for both of those sides, and Leitrim getting on the board as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like very dominant victories, especially for Sligo as well. And as you said, like the O'Kelly Lynch clan have definitely sort of marked their territory down in Sligo hurling. There's no doubts in regards to that. Jared O'Kelly Lynch with 2-2, Robert O'Kelly Lynch with 111. Poor Fergal O'Kelly Lynch got left out. He didn't score at all. So I don't know. But to be fair, he was probably the man, putting it all together. To be fair, I'd say. Mm-hmm. But yeah, big results there. Good win for Longford, as you said as well. And to be fair to Warwickshire, look, they still ended up scoring 211. So they still played quite well there and gave a good battle.
Absolutely. So, well, that is our hurling coverage wrapped up. We're going to run through Division 1, 2 and 3's action in the LGFA as well. And we're going to start off with Division 1. And when we're looking at the fixtures, there was 2 main ones that jumped out at me. Meath and Kerry was the main one in Dunshaughlin. Like, the rivalry between those two counties is absolutely brilliant. But from a biased perspective, I was going to keep an eye on the Dubs and see how they got on in their trip to Fraher Field to play against Waterford. You knew it was going to be such a difficult game. And Waterford got the job done. A goal and 10 to 8 points. Waterford beat Dublin by in Fraher Field. Waterford continued their 100% record, 3 wins out of 3 in the league campaign. First, they go away and hammer Armagh. Then they beat Kerry, and now they've beaten Dublin. So they've beaten the last 2 All-Ireland champions, as well as beating a perennial contender in Armagh. It's been an amazing start to the league campaign, Lynn.
I'm raging I didn't pick them first now. I picked them second. I'm absolutely raging. I should have picked them first. I've been a big fan of this Waterford team the last couple of years, and I was watching them, it was on the bank holiday Monday against Kerry on TG Cahir, and Like, they were so impressive. And what impressed me most about them was their turnover and their hunting in packs. It was like watching kind of like Donegal against Dublin to a degree. You know, the way, you know how when Dublin got the ball, there was 4 or 5 Donegal players just swarming a Dublin player every single time, a blankets situation. The way Waterford were turning over the ball against Kerry was absolutely sensational. And look, I didn't see this game, so I can't judge on that perspective from this game. But again, like, that's a huge victory for Waterford football. I mean, they were probably devastated not to beat Dublin last year in the championship, you know, the game that ended 1-13 each. But to get a win here over Dublin after they just won the All-Ireland is very, very impressive. They were leading by 5 points at halftime, and yeah, they were just very controlled in the second half. It didn't really feel like it was really in danger of them losing their lead, to be honest with you. But it's brilliant to see Waterford getting up to this level. I think they could beat Kerry in the Munster Championship this year. I would not be shocked in the slightest, and I wouldn't be shocked if they did get to an All-Ireland final. I do like this Waterford team a lot. I think they're on the right track. They have a lot of excellent players. It's not just Lauren McGregor, it's Emma Murray, it's Anya O'Neill, Breed McMahon, is that how you say her name? I think it's McMaw. Okay, I'm sorry, Breed, if you're listening. But yeah, look, they're a fantastic team, and they're coming. They're absolutely coming for that Munster title this year. They're going to try and get to an All-Ireland final this year. I feel like they have a lot of unfinished business. I wouldn't say it's panic stations for Dublin. It is the league at the end of the day, but it is 2 defeats in 3 games, which would be a small bit of a concern from
3 defeats out of 3.
Or 3 defeats out of 3.
You lost to me in round 2, yeah.
Sorry, beg your pardon. But yeah, look, I still wouldn't say it's exactly panic stations just yet, but it's not ideal. And especially, like, Kerry were dominant over them in the first round. I was watching the Mead game. Jeez, my memory's terrible. I was watching the Mead game. That was a fairly dominant display from Mead, especially in the second half on Monday. And again, judging by what I'm reading here, it didn't seem like Dublin were ever going to kind of get back into the game. Would you be worried from this perspective, or do you just see it as it's the league and you'll improve as the season goes on? Or
I think, like, you have to take it into account the context of, like, Hannah Tyrrell retired, and Nicole Owens retired, and a lot of our other crop, I don't know quite just how long they have left. Like Carla Rowe, that type, you know, like, are they got Leah Caffrey's been around a while as well, like that. When 1 or 2 start going, is it going to be a golden crop kind of exodus? I don't know. And when those players aren't there, attacking wise, we didn't look very potent against Waterford in this game. We didn't look very potent against Meath either. Now, don't get me wrong, those are played in very, very difficult conditions on very difficult days.
Yeah.
And when we get the likes of Kate Sullivan back into the team, we'll have that punch in the attack that we really, really need. Caoimhe O'Connor as well is huge for that, like the pace that she brings to the attack. Heatherton as well, like her returning in this game, you could see her impact. So we were a little bit better, but we need to pick up a win soon. Like, there's no question, we can't go on losing like this and stay up. So it is worrying me a little bit, but I'd be more excited if I was a Waterford fan, like, because on top of that, Kellyanne Hogan and Emma Murray, they're signed to the AFLW, and yet they're returning to play for Waterford. And that tells me that they're building something that they believe in, that they think is worth returning from Australia. Do you know what I mean? To be part of. They don't want to miss this. I'm saying it now, Waterford are aiming for an All-Ireland title. There's no doubt in my mind. When you see how close they were to Dublin in the championship, when you see how close they've been to Kerry in the Munster Championship especially, and that point by Kate Sullivan last year, when that went over the bar, that had a huge ripple effect for Waterford's year, because that meant that Dublin topped the group, and that meant that Waterford, instead of having a home game in the quarterfinal, which Dublin did against Cork, Waterford instead had to go away to Galway. And that was the most difficult tie, I'd say, out of the quarterfinals. You look at then how close Dublin went against Galway. Hannah Tyrrell's free was what saved us from being eliminated. If Waterford had had that home tie, I would have backed them to get into the All-Ireland semi-finals, and then who knows how the year goes from there. So it had a massive ripple effect. They know that they're there or thereabouts, and all they need is that domino to fall for them. So definitely keep an eye out for Waterford this year. Aaron, what's your take on it? I know we've suffered 3 defeats, but is it panic stations yet?
Not too much now. As you said, like, there are players missing, like Carla Rowe and a few others as well, that we're still kind of waiting to come back in. I think maybe where it might be a little bit more worrying is some of the fringe players who have been given opportunities probably haven't really stood up. It was an interesting game. I thought we actually started quite well in the opening 10 minutes. Like we were 3 points to 1 up early on. I thought around midfield as well, like Hannah McGuinness and Hannah Leahy as well. In terms of turnovers, we were actually competing quite well with Waterford. We were turning them over, we were creating chances. And I just felt like once Waterford kind of got a grip on the game and started building up a flurry of points, it just never really could kind of come back. And maybe it was like a lack of experience as well, like not having those big players who've obviously been there in those moments, and Hannah Tyrrell and Nicole Owens and a few others like you mentioned. But look, fair play to Waterford. Like they're a phenomenal team. Laura McGregor like scored a wonderful 2-pointer as well at one stage, which was outstanding. Like so, they're motoring really, really well. To be fair, I think it'd be great for Waterford in general. To be fair, to go on a bit of a run, I think we'd all very much get behind it. And yeah, from a Dublin perspective, it's not great, but look, we're obviously waiting on a few players to come back. And yeah, like relegation, it could happen in both codes, to be honest with you.
It would.
I think I was saying there, like in all codes this year, Dublin have played, I think, 8 games and won 1. So it hasn't been great.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. That's that. We're going to move on now to the other game that I was really, really looking forward to from Division 1, which is the clash of Meath and Kerry. And it didn't disappoint, Liam. Meath 2-12, Kerry 4-10 in Dunshaughlin. This is a very headline-grabbing win for Kerry. Kerry get revenge for their All-Ireland semi-final setback to Meath last year. They go away to Dunshaughlin and hit the back of the net 4 times. Sheaf Roche with 1-6, Leah McMahon with 2 goals, and Mary O'Connell with a goal and a point. It's a big, big win for the Kingdom. And when you think about the rivalry between those two counties, this one will be sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, similar to Cork and Tipperary, I don't think it quite eliminates losing the All-Ireland last year to Meath, but it will help to a big, big degree, especially because these two could easily meet each other later on in the season as well, in a quarter-final, semi-final, potentially final. But yeah, I mean, the Kerry hurlers are scoring 5 goals and their ladies footballers are scoring 4. There was something in the air for Kerry this weekend. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, look, and Aaron, there's something in the air with Aaron as well. Oh, he's back.
No, I don't even know. Just, yeah. I don't know, Jeff.
I don't know, Jeff. It's not even delusional. Delusional time's coming as well. We have this going on.
I love you, Aaron. But yeah, look, great result for Kerry. Absolutely. I said it before and I'll say it again. Sheaf Roche, outstanding footballer. She is absolutely sensational. And like if Kerry are going to win an All-Ireland this year, then she's going to be at the forefront of it. There's no question. There's no question about that. But look, you got to give credit to Meath as well. They stayed in the game. Emma Duggan was very good from frees. They got goals from Orla Finnegan and Orla Sheehy as well. And yeah, but O'Shea's goal in the early part of the second half was a big turning point for them, and they sort of turned it around from there. And they were very good in responding to Meath when they hit them back with scores as well. So look, big performance from Kerry. They've beaten Dublin. Obviously had a setback against Waterford, but to then go and beat Meath, very, very impressive going. 2 wins out of 3. I'm sure they would have taken that at the start of the season. Obviously, look, not ideal that their defeat came at home, but they're going away from home and winning against very tough teams, and especially, like you mentioned, in tough conditions at this time of the year as well. Obviously, they won't have that in the summer. Well, realistically, they shouldn't anyway. But still good for building a bit of momentum before the league or for the championship starts. Anyway, so yeah, for Meath, look, I wouldn't be too disheartened. It was like, it's a very tough game against Kerry. They had a great win against Dublin the other day. I'd say they could be happy with how they competed against Kerry. They still have a lot to give. Like I mentioned, I mean, Emma Duggan is one of the best footballers in the country still, you know. So I still think they have a lot to give throughout the season, and I think they'll still be okay come the end of the league campaign.
Yeah, we've a nice comment in here from Porter. He says, I must say, you know your stuff about the lower divisions and the women leagues. Yeah, we take it upon, we take it as a big responsibility that we want to know as much as we can about every single division. And as you know, as fans, it's like you have how many codes, 4 codes, how many divisions in each. Like it's tough to get all the information that we can about all of the games. But yeah, we do our best to get as much research done. I appreciate that comment, Porter. Thank you. Yeah, we're going to move on to the next tie. Unfortunately, the clash between Armagh and Cork was postponed But the game between Galway and Kildare went ahead, and it's all big win for Galway, 3-12 to 7 points. They beat Kildare in Doom Stadium. Look, it was always going to be a difficult game for Kildare, going away to one of the sides that I see as absolute, like, well, not slam dunk, but I would put them right up there for the All-Ireland. Like, I really think it's Galway's time. They have the perfect team. And you're talking about squad depth. Like, even besides the Kilkerran Clonberne team, that is probably the greatest club team LGFA has seen, along with the Ballymac dynasty of the 90s. But, like, they've got Roisin Leonard in there. They've got Alva Davern in there. Like, it's an unbelievable team. But in this game, Roisin Leonard herself scored 1-4. Andrea Trill hit 1-3. Leanne Cohn also hit the back of the net. Shout to Alana Prizeman as well. She came off the bench to hit 1-1. Sorry, that should say 1-7 to Kildare. I made a mistake with the typo there. But for Galway, they're back to winning ways. And that was important after last week's stumble against Cork. Aaron, I'll go to you for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, dominant enough victory in the end, like a 11-point win from a Galway perspective. And yeah, as you said, like it was a surprise defeat probably in more ways than one losing to Cork last week. So to bounce back, very impressive. Roisin Leonard with 1-4, Andrea Trill with 1-3. So yeah, dominant enough against a very good Kildare team as well. Like Kildare have come on strong very well over the last kind of couple of seasons. So definitely a bit of a damning defeat maybe from their perspective. Not necessarily the loss, but I think maybe on the margin of the victory. I think was maybe a little bit surprising. But yeah, huge win for Galway, and I do agree with you as well. I think they probably are, you would say, probably on paper, and especially looking at how Dublin have started the season as well. Like Galway maybe probably are at this moment the favourites for the All-Ireland. Do you know what I mean? If you were to call it now, maybe Waterford as well. Galway and Kerry.
With Dublin and Waterford, that you wouldn't dare write off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we're going to move on to Division 2. Division 2 is round 3. We had Mayo shading a tight affair against Tipperary by 9 points to 7 in Amenity Park. We had Donegal getting a very impressive win away to Tyrone, 3 goals and 9 points to Tyrone's 1 goal and 8. We had Cavan beating Wexford 111 to 2-6 in St. Bridget's Park. It's a repeat of the Division 3 final of last year. And then Monaghan beat Westmeath by 1 goal and 12 to 1 goal and 6 in St. Mary's. Monaghan initially, they've done well to bounce back from the Tyrone defeat. Obviously, they conceded 7 goals to Tyrone, but the way that they've responded has been pretty impressive. But for me, the standout result is Donegal going away to Tyrone and beating them. Aaron, I'll come to you for this.
Yeah, absolutely. A very impressive win from a Donegal perspective. To go away to Tyrone. Like I think a lot of us probably had Tyrone down as the favourites really in terms of getting out of this division. So yeah, huge win there for Donegal to go away there and definitely put themselves in the chase for promotion potentially. Yeah, and Monaghan as well, big win for them versus Westmeath, 6 points. Bounce back, as you said, from conceding 7 goals, so a big result in regards to that as well. And then, as you said, with Cavan getting over the line versus Wexford, probably with home advantage, we probably would have expected Cavan to come through it. And look, Wexford gave a good account of themselves as well. To be fair, it was very close throughout. So, 3 big wins there.
Yeah, 3 big wins indeed. And then there wasn't much information about the games in Division 3, but I just wanted to give a big shout to them. It was Clare and Down putting on an absolute cracker in Clarecastle, 4-13 to Clare, 7-13 to Down. Limerick were set back by Laois, 5-15 to 7 points. So goals flying in. Louth beat Fermanagh by 4 goals and 8 points to 8 points. And Drogheda, while Roscommon and Antrim drew 2 goals and 8 points apiece in St. Crown's. So you've got 4 goals in one game, 4 goals in the second game, 5 in the third, and 11 in the clash between Clare and Down. So the new rules, obviously, they're taken to them like a duck to water in Division 3. Some absolutely sensational games there. Just as a funny point on the weekend, did anyone see, I think what was his name, Conor Keane, doing his interview after the game with TG Carr? He dropped in a little word that rhymes with fire truck. Immediately you could see that the cogs in his head being like, oh no. This is gonna be awesome.
That's also what he was saying when he had to mark Adam Screeney. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I wouldn't want to mark Adam Screeney myself. We do want to touch on Liam. I'll throw this one over to you. Of course, finally this game took place. It was supposed to be in round 1 of the men's Division 4 Football League. Waterford against Longford. Longford getting a big win, to be fair, when you consider their setback to London last week. They go away to Fairfield, beat Waterford by 2-18 to 3-14.
Yeah, and I'm delighted that this game went ahead and we didn't have it cancelled again, to be honest with you. I think that's the last thing both these teams needed and what the GA needed, to be honest with you, another cancelled game. But yeah, look, a great win for Longford, especially to go away from home, especially to Fairfield as well, and to pick up a big win. Got to give credit to Waterford as well, putting up 3-14 and losing is like, that's got to be damaging to them, to be honest with you. They got to be very, very upset from that. But yeah, it turned out to be a very cracking game. And it's unfortunate from Waterford as well, because it was a last-minute goal that won it for Longford in the end. Daniel Reynolds coming up with a goal in the final, I think it was the final kick of the game as well. Like, Waterford were winning this game. They got a goal just before, I think it was either like before the 70-minute mark, or it was like on the edge of it, or just after, whatever way, maybe the time was stopped or whatever. The Hooter system is still confuses me, to be honest. But they had this game won. And to be honest with you, that could have done so much for Waterford football winning this game in the end. And it's just so unfortunate that they didn't get over the line in the end from that perspective. But listen, got to give credit to Longford. You know, great win for them. Dylan Farrell scoring 1-3 at full forward. Dylan Reynolds, like I mentioned, getting 1-2 as well. Patrick Moran getting 2 points at corner forward. Desi Reynolds scoring 3 points from centre back as well. Very, very impressive as well. So yeah, look, a great win for Longford, for them to hopefully boost their Division 4 campaign now. For Waterford, very, very unfortunate from their perspective. It'd be great to see Waterford winning a couple of games in the football. But yeah, I'm just glad this game got played more than anything, to be honest.
Yeah, Porter here saying word that rhymes with fire truck. He said fuck in his interview. Just in case we needed any clarification for one of his answers. Anyway, we have Peter here saying great review, lads. Great review as always, lads. Thanks, Emil. Have a good week and see you on Thursday at 8. You put it perfectly there. We've one question from Aaron before we wrap up. He says, well, lads, great to listen to you. I know it's a very early prediction. Who's getting out of Munster and who's getting out of Leinster? I'll go first. I think at this moment, if I had gun to my head, so Aaron Gubbins is putting us all on the spot here, I'd say, I don't like doing Munster. I'd probably say Limerick, Tip and Cork in no particular order, and Leinster, I'd probably say Dublin, Galway and Kilkenny. Any disagreements?
No, I'd agree,
Yeah.
Maybe Wexford instead of Dublin and Leinster, or I don't know.
I think we'll come fourth in Leinster, but I don't think we'll get third.
Jay's saying nobody's going to say Clare, I bet.
I was gonna say like Limerick. Like, we'll have to keep an eye on Limerick. Like, I think it is a weird one.
Mental is if Clare go in, I think Limerick drop.
Yeah,
the game's in Ennis as well.
And the game's in Ennis, yeah. Great point.
We'll have to see. Obviously, next few weeks.
If the game's in Ennis, but what's interesting is over the last few years, Clare tend to beat Limerick when it's in Limerick, and Limerick tend to beat Clare when it's in Clare. So
true, actually. Yeah.
Very, very interested to see how it plays out. But yeah, we will wrap it up there. Great question, Aaron. Thanks a mil for that. But we'll call it there. And we're never afraid to predict. I mean, we are afraid, but we will still do it. We will still make the predictions, even if it's as early as it is. And a lot could change between now and then. We could have a massive injury to a key player. But we'll see what happens. Porter, thanking us on the show. Thanks a million for jumping on. Thank you to everybody who got involved in the discussion. It was a really enjoyable episode. We will be back, as Peter said, on Thursday at 8 p.m. for the weekend preview show. But until then, enjoy League Sunday. Enjoy the week. Agus Tóir. Instinct, baby.